Hey there, roamers. Welcome to the Roam in Your Home podcast and YouTube channel, where we get to hear from full-time RVers, unpack their experiences, and learn actionable advice to help you roam in your home too. I'm your host, Jamie Williams. Thank you so much for being here. Buckle up, my friend. Let's get ready to go on an adventure together right now. Welcome back to the Roam in Your Home podcast, the show where we dive into the world of RV living with tips, stories, and insights from those who live it every day. I'm your host, Jamie Williams. Today is our 4-month anniversary of this podcast, and this is episode 18. I've been having a blast, and I hope you're loving the show too. Today, I'm so excited to share part 2 of my conversation with Nellie and Bryce from the Jurgys. Last week, I released part 1, so if you haven't listened to that episode yet, go now and listen to part 1 first, then come back and listen to part 2. You won't want to miss everything they shared in part 1, and you'll love getting to know them better, hearing all about their beautiful story of how they got started doing this RV life, and all the amazing things they've done and the exciting things they're doing now. They're hosting the most epic summer camp at their gorgeous RV park in Swan Valley, Idaho, and you won't want to miss hearing all about it on last week's episode. Check the link in the show notes to get your tickets, and don't wait. Spaces are limited and they are going fast. This week, we get to hear more about their RV life, their top 5 favorite states they visited, and their advice to anyone considering this RV life. I'm so honored to have them on the show and share this second half of this awesome conversation with you. So I won't make you wait any longer. Here is the second half of my conversation with Nellie and Bryce. I would love to continue asking more about your RV life, if you guys don't mind. It's hard to get off of this summer camp, though. I have so many questions about that too, but I want to ask you, because you guys have, partnered with so many brands, and you have so many different, like, even when you just started and doing the hidden gifts and the treasures and stuff.
Yeah.
You guys obviously have had so many RV accessories or different things. If you could give our listeners 3 of your favorites right now, what are they?
I feel like that's always so hard for us to answer.
I know. There's so many.
One that was underrated for me, the wheel chock stabilizers, like not the chocks on the ground, but the
X chocks?
Yeah, X chocks. Like, I remember being like, oh, that's a cool idea. It makes sense. But when we actually tested it, it's like, whoa, that actually does make a difference.
Oh, I've heard that. We don't have them, but I've heard that from so many people. Good to know.
Yeah, that's great. Your turn.
I know I'm trying really hard to think, because I feel like we didn't go crazy with accessories.
Yeah.
Now we do have, it's not necessarily an accessory, it's a very large accessory, but we do have solar on our RV, which can be a game changer.
How much solar and batteries do you have?
So we have 8 200 watts on our roof.
Wow.
And then our batteries are from a company, EcoFlow, right now. And they have been more in like the Sprinter van space, but we're tapping into RV at the time we got them.
Nice.
And so at first there was some finicky in the programming, like once the batteries were fully charged and if nothing was being used, they would just shut off. So we left for like an afternoon adventure and came back and our fridge was off because our AC had turned off.
Ugh.
Our DC to AC conversion. We're like, what's going on? And just because, like, if they're not being used, like if nothing's pulling power for a moment, the hub would just turn off.
Oh.
Yeah. And so after our feedback, they changed that right away, which was nice. And then, so they've been updating a lot. But then we also have a portable generator that's just an electrical one, and it's a 30 amp.
I was going to say, our generators have been nice.
It's Anchor Solix, and it's beefy, and it lasts a long time, and unless you're pulling everything on it. But that's great just because it opens up for fumeless, like no fumes while you're out boondocking.
Oh, we do have this is like an outdoor, but our Solo fire pit, is that what's called? Solo?
Mm-hmm.
Solo stove. Amazing. Because there's no smoke. They're really, really nice. So, because I don't know, like once you get to RVing, when you first start, you're like, campfires. And then after a few nights, campfires, you're like, I don't want to smell like smoke anymore, and I don't have to buy wood. And
exactly.
Now, usually those people who have RV'd for a long time end up getting like a propane or like, something more suitable for the full-time RV life. And we got one of those, and it's very nice quality. Doesn't have any smoke. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so good. I keep seeing those, and that's definitely something I think that we would use as well.
That's awesome. And I think you guys are the perfect people to ask since this was so new to you when you started out and you just kind of like made it work and did all this. But what was easier than you thought about this RV life?
The RV life.
Yeah. The whole thing.
Just in general is
Just
easier.
in general, yeah. It just when you first start, it seems so scary and just like, you're going outside your comfort zone. It's just like living in an RV. But as soon as you do it, you're like, oh, this is great. Oh, like I don't need all my stuff that's in my house. Like, really, you don't need anything.
Exactly.
We adapted so much easier than I thought we would. So for me, I
Yeah.
just want to say like RVing life in itself.
I love that.
Yeah, you feel the space that you have, right? So it's funny, like now that we have this RV park and it's like, oh, here's an Airbnb that we have in a tiny home. If there's empty space for even guests for a nightly rental, it's like, oh, we got to buy a decor to put in this corner that has nothing in it, and
Right.
we need to put this here, there too. And so in an RV, it forces you to be intentional with everything, and that's great. So I agree with all of that. Another thing I would add is the first time we actually flushed the toilet was after we launched on our 50-state trip.
Uh-huh.
So like after we remodeled it, we're like, oh man, does it work? I hope so. and I was nervous about that with the black tank, gray tank, but
Right.
it's not a big deal at all. It's easier than I thought. It's not as gross as I thought either.
Exactly. We had just talked to somebody else about that same thing too. We were so worried about that. We didn't even know like the term black tank, gray tank. We didn't even understand that when we first started. And so we had our RV in like a RV storage, and then we ended up having it like hooked up just so we could practice while we still had our house. And we were so concerned, and then we're like, have these huge gloves on. We're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be terrible. And we, pull the lever, like, that's it. Like, when does it get dirty, or when does this get hard? Like, this is so easy. So, oh, that's so funny. That's awesome. And so, has there been anything that was more difficult than you ever thought when you started this RV life?
Yes. I mean, our story is a little different because we were trying to hit all 50 states and we were YouTubing every single state, and we were new parents and business partners. But for us, it was balancing out everything. And a lot of RVers are doing social media. And so for us, we almost killed ourselves, I feel like, for how fast we were going and how we just were really unbalanced with like the life work separation. Now we've come a long way, but in the beginning I think that was probably the hardest thing for us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yep. Our 50-state trip was epic, but it really was like just a big production for 2 years.
Oh yeah.
There was bouts and seasons where things would calm down, but that was the hard part of. So that's like even outside of RVing, but just with our way to figure out how to finance it and motivate more people to get out, we'd be having like an epic moment, and the family, Nellie would be experiencing it, and I would too, but I'd be looking through a camera lens,
That's so true.
And if you do that 100% of the time, or even most of the time, it can just make things feel more hollow or less fulfilling. And so you want to remember the memories, but so we started becoming more intentional, and it's still something that I think it's always good to gauge and check in with each other. But like, hey, let's just have these moments that we're just doing this for ourselves.
Right. I love that. That is so true. We get caught up in content creation that we actually forget that this is us too. Like, this is for us. We need to make these memories, and maybe we don't even like post it, and we're just going to do this together. Maybe we don't even bring out our camera and we're just going to remember it in our minds. And it is hard. Yeah. That's so important to be intentional. I love that.
Yeah. And so I think one hack to that I would just add is that plan time to do nothing, because that's very underrated.
That's so good. That is so good. Yes. And so many of us just want to like fill up our schedule with being busy, and we end up not even remembering how to just be still. And yeah, that's so good. And then I wanted to ask you guys, I'm so curious because when you guys started doing this, Starlink wasn't a thing. And so how did you guys get such good internet while you were doing this?
We honestly just did hotspot from my phone. I remember it was a real struggle trying. because that wasn't even very simple with Verizon. We tried, there was these grandfathered in mobile hotspots that had unlimited data.
I remember hearing that for Verizon. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to get them like from the underground. And we couldn't access any of those. So then we finally got it to where,
or we'd just be somewhere that had Wi-Fi, or we'd park at a coffee shop, or
yeah,
Okay.
and that was waning as well. And then finally our hotspot up to like 30 gigs. But it's still, yeah, so then when we get to campgrounds it was super slow internet.
Right.
But we would just batch everything there and try to upload for the 2 days straight as while we were doing other stuff.
Yeah, I can see how that would be so difficult for you guys because, I mean, we were not doing anything like that, and that was probably the most surprising, most difficult thing that we knew, and we didn't expect that when we started RVing. You have fast internet at home, you just assume like everybody has fast internet, and then when you're RVing, you're like, oh, wait, internet is really hard to get, and especially when you're doing a big production like you guys. So, do you have Starlink now?
yes,
We do, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a total game changer. Once we got that, it was like, oh gosh, if this would have been around when we first started, that would have been a lot easier. So
you'd have to like try to fit in a parking lot with a small coffee shop and take up like 5 parking spaces. And
right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Right, you'll be in your rig trying to be in the coffee shop. Wow. Oh my
good
gosh.
times.
Yeah. Aw. And so, where do you guys, when you were traveling all over, where did you guys stay? Did you guys stay in RV parks, or did you discover Harvest Hosts or state parks, or?
We actually, yeah, we mostly just did RV parks. And I mean, back then, you could literally call an RV park the day of and
Right.
get a spot. Now, it's a little different where you actually do have to book ahead. So it was easy for us. Or sometimes we would just find like BLM land or a rest area and we'd pull over for the night, or a truck stop, occasional Walmart, but for the most part, yeah, we would just stay at RV parks to get the full hookups and, the internet. And yeah. Oh, we did have 1,000 trails.
Oh, okay, good.
We actually were working with 1,000 trails. So if we told them ahead of time, we were able to get campsites for free, which was
nice.
great at the time. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so, since you guys have been to all 50 states and really did so much more than most RVers ever got to see, is there any way that you could narrow it down to your top 5 favorites? Is that a hard question for you guys?
That is just the 5 states that we.
Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska for sure.
Tennessee.
Surprisingly, was it South Carolina?
But yeah, between South Carolina and North Carolina, that area.
Maine was magical. And what's the other one? Washington was beautiful.
Yeah, so how we did it that first go round was we started in the Northwest in June, ended up being in Maine and New England in September, and then we got to Florida in the winter and then made it back. So like just the prime time in the seasons.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. So smart.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But we had,
there's something good in every state though. Like the only state we were like meh was North Dakota, but other than that, like
we met some.
Even then, it was beautiful.
We met some really great people there too.
Yeah,
made it fun.
That's awesome.
South Dakota was very surprising. I would actually say it was one of my favorite states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, like the Badlands were so rad.
I've heard that too.
I think the best thing is just like when we had time to get to know some locals and then ask them what we should do and then go do that. It was like, I can live here.
Aw, that's such good advice. We try to do that too. Yes.
Yeah. Way better than just going touristy.
Right. Yeah, the locals know where all the good spots are, good restaurants, good everything. I love that.
All the hidden secrets. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's such good advice. And then how do you guys stay safe on the road? Has there been any, bad experiences where you kind of felt like you were unsafe, or has there been any scary situations that you guys have been in?
Not really. Honestly, I feel like we've been pretty. There was a couple, we had like 2 instances. One was just we were at a Walmart parking lot for the night, and it was the very beginning of our 50-state travels. We were in Washington, and there was some sketch going on. There was a parked trailer that was very had the like tags to be towed all over it.
Oh, goodness.
And you could just tell something was going on. And I was like, we should move our RV. And Bryce is like, we're fine. And then we go to lay down and we hear this screeching noise and
Ugh.
we look out our window and the lady had got into her, wasn't even her trailer, walked in the trailer, but it came off the hitch was on a brick and it moved off of it, started rolling towards us.
Oh my gosh.
Hit our trailer at like midnight.
Oh.
And she was obviously was not a good situation. She wasn't even her trailer and she didn't even know like her friends' names who owned it. And the cops were like, hey, they definitely don't have insurance. So hopefully you guys do.
Oh gosh.
So we had to repair our trailer and that made for a good YouTube video for sure.
Oh my gosh.
And the only other instance when it was another, I think, Walmart parking lot. And we get this email that says, I can see you. And we were like, oh, what the heck?
Oh no.
The next day we get another email from the same address and it was the little boy's mom. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was my 12-year-old son. He saw you guys and was excited, but like, obviously he doesn't know how to portray that in an email.
Right.
So we were like, oh, okay, that's a lot better. But other than that, I don't think we've had like real scary moments. No.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Yeah, when we first hit the road, we were like, I don't know, everybody just kept giving us like, oh, I heard this story or I heard this story. And we're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens. And we honestly have never had any scary experiences either. So that's so good that you guys didn't either.
I think if you stay, you do your research and you look at the RV parks you're staying at and, what kind of people go there or,
Yes.
what's around it. Like usually you can keep yourself pretty aware and safe.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Good advice too. Just to do some research, and that's awesome.
Look at those reviews always.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I love looking at reviews, and they are so helpful.
Uh-huh.
And then have you guys had any major like RV issues? Because when we were starting out and all the research we did and different YouTube videos, everybody kept saying it's not if but when something happens. Have you guys had anything happen, and how did you handle it?
Just again in the very beginning, right next to when we got hit by the trailer, we ran over, what was it? Somebody's landing gear or something?
Yeah, some landing gear had shot off a rig in front of us or something, and I didn't have time to avoid it.
Oh, goodness.
It bounced under our RV, was the loudest clanging.
Ugh.
We pulled over and had transmission fluid everywhere, and our automated doorstep was jacked up. But so we were scared to drive and couldn't get a good look yet, but we found a place just the next exit down that agreed to let us come in. Because it's hard to find a mechanic that'll look at a Class A RV, a big one.
Oh, true.
And turns out the landing gear just broke a clamp on the transmission hose. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
So he got us in really fast, fixed it fast, and we were on our way. And so we felt super lucky. Other than that, though, like our little 2004 Daybreak did awesome.
Yeah, it did.
She, to the 50 states, we like never broke down.
Wow.
She killed it.
That is so awesome. Wow.
Yeah, we got really, really lucky with her. And I feel like RVs back then were just built differently anyway. So like they lasted a little bit longer. So we got lucky with her. She was great.
Aw, that's so good. I'm so glad you guys have really had so many good experiences, and you guys definitely make this RV life look so easy. And I mean, it's definitely, day to day, there's always little things, but I think your attitude is so great that you just kind of roll with it and you get through it. That's awesome.
Yeah, you kind of have to when you're an RVer.
Absolutely. And so you guys obviously get along so well. I mean, I love your story. I love, how awesome that you guys have, the perspective of just, enjoying every day and, really inspiring others to get out there and just make the most of it. And so, when we were first starting out and you go from a big home to a small RV and everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, I could never do it with my spouse. And, and Randy and I get along so well. We've never had any issues, but I always like to ask, couples that get along so well, if they have any tips, any tips of, why it works so well for you guys. And if you wanted to share kind of what you guys do to make it work.
I'm like, we're both giggling over here because when we first started RVing, it was not easy. We've come a long, long way, but we had a new baby, and I actually was going through really bad postpartum depression, but I didn't know it. And again, just the unbalance. To be totally honest to our viewers, that 50 states is when we actually got our first marriage counselor.
Yeah.
Because we needed help, and there's definitely no shame in that. And I
No.
honestly would recommend even healthy marriages to have one just to stay on track. But that was
Sure.
honestly a really difficult time for us, where I almost actually left a few times on the 50 states because I was like, I'm done with this. Like, it was really hard balancing it all out, and we both had a lot of heavy weights and burdens. Bryce became our editor and our producer, and I was a new mom, and it was really difficult. So for those who want to kill each other in the beginning, like, don't worry about it. I think we all go through it, especially the when you're backing up each other.
Oh,
Turn left. You're like, I can't turn left.
yeah.
I'm like that if you can get through that without arguing, like, you have made it in life.
Totally.
I think we have like argued every time in the beginning we did that, but we're starting to get a system down. But there's definitely, I feel like a learning curve with transferring to a new kind of lifestyle, transitioning to a new lifestyle.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to be honest that we love each other, and we're good friends now, and we've worked through a lot, but it was not easy in the beginning. But like life, you have to get through it and work it out and talk it out and see what works and what doesn't. And I mean, that was almost 6.5 years ago now that we started. So we've come a long way, and we're still married. So
I love that.
anyone can do it.
Again, back to a lot of RVers work together, right? They run their own businesses together. They're homeschooling together. Everything's together. And that's a beautiful thing. But it's easy, though, for work, like anything that's demanding your attention, to own the conversations that happen between you and your spouse. So, like, social media never sleeps, and that's a big part of our job. And so it's always easy to be like, oh, hey, we should post this, or hey, what about this? And it seems like we're always there's our girls right now.
Oh, they sound so cute.
They are so sweet. But it's easy to where we're all, especially like planning the summer camp in the RV park, it's easy to always talk about work for me, because I'm always worried about, am I really providing appropriate with my family, and are we scaling, or are we sustaining? And we had another mentor. So I think my advice, shorted answer, is ask around and seek advice from people that you think are doing well in any area you want to do better in. And so we had I have another mentor who's helping us with our business, and he brought up the advice of, if you're working together as spouses, remember that after so many words spoken in a day, the human mind is just tired. And like after, everyone has their own limit, but after you speak so much in one day, you're like, I'm just done talking. I just want to sit and not talk.
Yeah.
And so if you use that up with your spouse talking only about business, then when you're tired at the end of the day, you're not talking as a couple and flirting with each other, or just talking about life and dreams and goals, because you're like, okay, I'm mentally done. We just spent all of our energy and our cup. We drained our cup on work. And so little hacks, whenever, like with this podcast, for example, Nellie was talking with you about it, and she accepted the calendar invite and then invited me to it. So I saw the notification on my phone, and I accepted it, and no words were exchanged between us. Not that we're like not trying to talk, but we didn't have to like go to each other and say, hey, so this podcast, this, it was just sent. I looked at my calendar and I was like, yep, accept. So then when we see each other next, there's like a little slap on the butt, or talking about life, or hey, how are you doing? And the first thing isn't about work. So we're still learning that, but I'm learning that even more, but trying to, as much as you can through using apps and stuff like that, work wise, to separate work from life, so that you remember, like, oh yeah, we're spouses first, Yeah, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, it makes total sense. And that is such great advice. I love that. Oh, I love that piece of information about, yeah, you only have so many words that you can, handle in a day. And if you just use them up for work, then that leaves no more room for anything else. And oh my goodness, yeah, I'm going to live my life a little bit differently as well. So that was good advice for me too.
Yeah, we have a friend that he's writing a book about smartphones and using them as a tool. And he was bringing up some studies with us where just the amount of connection that happens from 15, 20 minutes of phones put away and you're fully focused on your spouse or your kids while you're talking does so much more than hours sitting by each other watching Netflix while you're also looking at social media.
Oh my gosh.
And so having that planned time of like, okay, planned time set aside, uninterrupted, this is priority, this is important, it pays off so much.
Wow, that is such good advice. I love that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, you guys are the perfect people too to ask about, and this you guys already gave such good advice for, just how to get along, on the road and as a couple, but just really curious what you guys would say is, what's your advice that you would give someone who's just considering this RV life? What would you say, to do first and maybe some thoughts that you can share?
I would just say, just go for it. It's a really challenging, especially in our like quick society. Like everything's so fast and quick. Like it's okay to be uncomfortable, and I think that's really hard for us to do, to like push ourselves to be uncomfortable. Like nobody just does that naturally, but um like if it's something you're wanting to do, like take that step. And that could just be rent an RV for a week, put your family in it, see what that feels like for you guys, and like if you like it, like test it out, take a camper, go camping, like take little steps to see what that would be. But I would just say if you're wanting something, like you got to take the step to do it, because time's going to keep passing. It's going to keep going, and your dreams are going to go unaccomplished until you do something about it. And it's scary. It's very uncomfortable to do, but it's totally possible. And like we said earlier, it's totally the mind frame of like, but how can I do it? Or like, what if? Just let that even be a possibility in your mind. Because honestly, now Bryce and I can't be comfortable. Like it's almost like if we're not uncomfortable, like something's wrong. Um, so yeah, just going out there and taking this step, because it time, like we just talked about earlier, it just goes by so fast, and you just don't, like, we're not promised tomorrow. Like if it's going to bring you happiness, like why delay it? Why? So yeah, I would just say go for it. Take that extra step that you need to like make it happen.
You did give such good advice about, yeah, just do it. you know? I mean, it's
Pretty much.
yeah. I mean, really, it's honestly the best decision we've ever made, and you do get, kind of comfortable being uncomfortable, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally true.
Yeah, that's what we were doing too with the travel therapy. We did not know anything about it. We didn't know RVing, we didn't know traveling, we didn't know travel therapy, but we knew that we would always have the regrets if we didn't try it. And so we learned quickly that you do get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then it's actually easy, and then you start to really love it.
Yep. It's an easy transition.
Yeah, we are so, so thankful that we decided to take this huge leap of faith, and it turned out to be the best decision we've ever made. And definitely sounds like you guys feel the same way. And I just love all that you are doing. And so, do you guys now live full time in the RV park?
Yeah, so in the summer, we actually stay in our fifth wheel, and we're at our campground most of the time. Luckily, we actually have two awesome camp hosts this year that are there to help. And so it does allow us to take a break. Because the first 2 years of when it was opened, we kind of put the Jurgys aside to put everything into the RV park. So if you look, our YouTube channels are kind of scattered about, not as consistent because we really had to dedicate so much of our time getting the RV park running. But now we're third up. We have amazing camp hosts. We're hoping to do more of the Jurgys as well. And so, yeah, we'll be at our campground a lot. So if anybody wants to come stop by or stay at our campground, let us know. We would love to have you.
Oh, that's so awesome. How many sites do you guys have?
So right now we have 13, but 2 of them are taken by our camp hosts, and one we actually are using for a dump station. And then we have 30 acres, and so we have a lot of tent sites as well, or boondocking, but yeah, 10 hookup sites. But again, the whole reason why we got this is that we do want to expand it, and that's something we're working towards right now. We'll have quite a few additional spots. So right now we're little, but we're hoping to get really big. Oh, and we are building tiny homes, and we do have a glamping tent, an Airbnb, and a tiny home. So we do have other things on our property besides just RV spots.
Oh, that's so exciting. I did see some of that. And to have the 30 acres with that view, it's so exciting about what, is in the future for you guys. I can't wait to see just all that you guys do.
Thanks, us too.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been like quite the journey, but
it honestly is such a spark of joy and gratitude when people come stay out there, because this is definitely beyond us. It's a constant reminder that there's no way we can do this without others.
Right.
And so even when people come stay, that support and morale boost, it also financially helps us to keep going. But just even the people will show up and they'll offer ideas and suggestions. They realize we're building in the building phase, and it's like we know that this is way beyond our ability, and so anyone that loves to come out or offer suggestions or any type of help is like open door policy. We're just stewards of it. It's not ours. We're stewards of it, and we're trying to do something great.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great attitude too. Well, I love hearing your story and just everything that you guys are about. And I know that it's going to be, attracting so many people. And once they come, I'm sure they're going to be, telling others. And I've asked so many people about like their top 5 locations, and I've heard Idaho mentioned a lot, and we've never been.
What?
So now that you guys are there, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to come and visit you guys.
Yeah.
You have to come.
Yes.
Idaho is definitely a secret gem. It's like not fully out there yet, but it really is one of the most beautiful states.
Yeah, I just heard that. In fact, Patty and Shane from Gills on Wheels, I think that was one of their top 5s when they were on the show. They were mentioning Idaho, and I'm like, yeah, that's on our list. We've never been. So
I didn't feel like I could say that when you asked our favorite states because we live here, but there's a reason why.
We live here.
One of the first families that stayed at our RV park, they were like, after all 50 states, why did you guys choose here? And then they stayed for a week, and then literally they extended their stay and for another week, and then they're like, hey, if you see any lots for sale around here, will you let us know? We're like, that's why.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And so now Idaho is your domicile state, right? That's where you're living. That's where your address is.
Yep.
And that's where you get your mail, right?
Yep. We're about 20 minutes from the Wyoming line, so we got best of both worlds.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that? That's right, because you're by the Grand Tetons and all that. Oh my gosh, we've not been to any of that, and that's all on our list. And so
you're like missing the best part of the U.S.
I know. My gosh, we have our bucket list keeps growing as we like cross it off. Like we cross off one thing and like add 10 more, and so
yeah,
which
definitely
is a good problem to have for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, and one of the things that everybody wants to know from RVers is how do you make money on the road? And you guys definitely answered that already, but just curious, like, so you have your, obviously like the social media and your awesome content creators and YouTube and all that. And then you have the RV park. And is there anything else that you guys, I mean, not that you need anything else, but is there anything that we didn't discuss on this podcast?
Bryce, do you want to tell them our new adventure that we're not making any money from it yet, but the Crave Cookies.
Oh, yeah. We're also partners on a Crave Cookies store in Bountiful, Utah.
Oh.
So we just joined in. We became partners to help with the marketing. And so with our YouTube and social media, a lot of that, people can see most of our posts that are like sponsored posts, and we get paid through that and also through like affiliate marketing and whatnot. But we also do like TV commercials. We're doing one for a company here that, like, so we have a production company as well, but
Awesome.
that's led to this opportunity where instead of getting paid, we are now a partner with this cookie store.
And what's the cookie store called again? What is the cookie?
Crave cookies.
Just think when you have that craving for a cookie.
They are seriously
so good.
I'm kind of a health nerd. I like to eat pretty healthy, but like these are so good.
They're not a daily thing because they're so good, you know, in that way.
Are they national?
They are, yeah. There's a few. I think there's 20 franchises right now, and so we have the one we're partners on the one in Bountiful.
Okay. Is there one in Florida?
There is one in Florida, Orlando area. I don't know.
Do they all taste the same and all that?
The flavors are the same every week nationwide.
They change per week.
Yeah, the cookies don't taste the same as each other. Like some cookie chains, like the cookies all taste the same. They just have different frosting. These are all, every week they're different.
Okay. Because one of my best friends is from Ohio and is in Orlando right now. And she's a health nut. She, is always eating healthy. And she just texted a group text of us girlfriends. And she was talking about, I just looked it up, those cookies. And she was like, they're like crack. I mean, she was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
They are.
I never even heard of them. So I was like, you're eating a cookie? Like,
they're so good. Like, and so our thought process was, obviously Bountiful, Utah is a few hours from us. It's 3 hours away. But
oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay.
Anyone that is coming from like the national parks in Utah, there's so many in Utah, right? And they're coming up to Idaho. Yeah. So if you're on that loop, it's literally just off the freeway. And so we're like, hey, when you're on the loop, you need a road trip stop. Camping and cookies is like the two things that bring the most joy. So
yes,
we're just trying to hit all the happiness.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So adding that to my list because the Mighty Five is on our list, and so we got to stop for cookies. I mean, twist our arm. So yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
If you're driving through, so it's just south of Salt Lake.
Okay.
It's just north of Salt Lake. Sorry. Let us know. Because either if we're in the area, we'll meet you there, or we could tell our team that you're coming through. So,
well, you guys will know because we will be coming to see you when we're out that way. So
perfect. No take backs, Jamie.
Oh no, absolutely. You have our word. I cannot wait to stay at your RV park.
Good.
Those views. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for you guys. It all has worked out so good. And it's just like your path is being directed and you guys are such good stewards of what you have. And I can totally see why doors keep opening for you. You totally deserve it and are doing such good things with what, the opportunities that you're given. And I love it. So please tell us all where we can continue following. So tell us all your social media and everywhere that we can all go watch everything unfold for you.
So our social media is the Jurgys, Jurgys. And then our campground is the park at Swan Valley.
Okay. And your YouTube is the Jurgys too?
Yep. Our YouTube's the Jurgys.
Okay. Awesome.
And if you want to come to summer camp, just go to the park at swanvalley.com and click on summer camp.
Yeah, there's a banner on the website there.
Oh, I am so excited to see all about that and watch all the adventures that you guys lead everyone on. It sounds like a dream. I'm definitely going to be part of it one day for sure.
Better.
Oh, I wish I would have known more about it. Oh, I can't wait. And our anniversary is July 25th. So that would be like the perfect, anniversary gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if something could happen this year, we would totally make it work, but for sure, maybe next year. But oh, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for all of your time tonight. This has been so great to get to know you guys. I'm now an even bigger fan than I was and can't wait to binge watch everything that I've missed so far and continue to watch your journey. And thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys being a part of the show. This was awesome. And I hope to see you not only on the road, but at your RV park one day soon.
Yes. Love to have you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jamie.
Aren't Nellie and Bryce amazing? As I mentioned last week, I'm a new follower and quickly became a huge fan. The more I watch their YouTube videos, the bigger fan I become. If you don't already know them and love them like I do, go now and follow them everywhere. You will be immediately hooked. You'll find all the links to summer camp, their RV park, and all of their social media and their YouTube channel in our show notes and on our website at roaminyourhome.com/thejurgys. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend. We're getting such great feedback from the show, and it really helps us in the algorithms when you share it, and especially when you leave us a review. Your support means the world to me. Come back each week because I have so many fun interviews coming up. You won't want to miss these great conversations filled with so many awesome tips and travel information. I learned so much, and I know you will too, so come back each week. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the road. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roam in Your Home podcast and YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would subscribe to our show and consider giving us a 5-star review. It's free and would mean the world to us and help us grow. If you know anyone who would also enjoy this podcast, please share it with a friend. I would also love to connect with you on Instagram or Facebook at Roam in Your Home. Come back next week for another fun adventure, but until then, stay safe, and we hope to see you on the road.